Mr. James Ice says Viewpoint is now officially on the air. Good morning, Mrs. Busby.
Good morning, Mr.
How are you, my dear?
All's well.
Good. All righty. Another going to be a dreary day.
Yeah. It's going to be a dreary week, and I'm sorry about that because Easter is Sunday, and I always think it's kind of nice if it's nice on Easter, but I guess I didn't get my order in quick enough.
Well, I look at it this way. You just stay in and get the ironing done, those things like that.
I'm caught up.
We're going to introduce our guests here very quickly. Last week we had some distinguished guests from Brazil, and we had to kind of bypass a couple of things we like to do, and that was, some of those would be the kudos. Two or three that I'd like to mention. Number one, Dr. Howder and others have worked very hard to establish this new soccer field.
Yes.
And they got that off and running. And kudos to all of that group. Dr. Drew, we appreciate all your pushing behind that and your enthusiasm. And your youngsters are up and off the nest now almost, and so they won't get to enjoy that like the other youngsters are going to do in the community. But it's a great thing. Soccer is becoming more and more important to the youngsters. We do a very good job here at the elementary school level, and of course our two colleges have soccer teams. So thanks to Dr. Drew. Congratulations. I was at the library last Sunday where we dedicated that bust of Bill Maxwell, William K. Maxwell. Well attended, nicely done. And then, of course, not the least of the ceremonies last weekend was the rededication of that Civil War statue. And I thought that was very well done. There seemed to be some consternation, confusion of exactly what it was going to be and material and so forth. But it worked out very well, and it looks great. So kudos to those folks out there. I'd like to mention something too. One of our loyal listeners up across Wisconsin by the name of Lois Harvey, she has a niece of whom she's quite proud, and she ought to be. And Jenny Bucos is vitally interested in global education for youngsters. And Jenny had a letter from the State Department of State, which confirmed that she is the most outstanding children's educator in the global world. Now that's pretty tall cotton.
I would say so.
I've not been privileged to be acquainted with this young lady, but we certainly want to doff our hats to her. Kudos to Jenny Bucos, by golly. And her Aunt Lois is understandably a little bit proud.
Well, I should think.
Did you have a golf story or two?
I want to say...
What do you want to say?
One kudo, too, because this morning, when the courier came, on the front was a rather impressive, humongous picture of the sky looking very ominous. True?
True.
And it was taken by Devin Biggs. And I know Devin, and I knew his dad when he was a young fellow. He's the same age as my kids. And Devin is very interested in meteorology.
That's not Terry, is it?
It's Terry's boy.
Is that right?
Terry's boy.
Oh, goodness.
And Devin took this picture of the rolling clouds, and they're very impressive. So now Devin is not only interested in meteorology, but photography, I guess.
Yeah, knew his granddaddy well, too. Yeah. Another good kudo I'd like to make is last Sunday they had the Honor Flight fundraising breakfast at the Legion. Well done, well attended. I think we made a little money for the folks there. And we sure appreciate that. And I'd also like to mention that they're going to have a golf tournament for the Honor Flight. That's going to be down at Auburn, Edgewood Golf Club, and it's a strictly a fundraiser. And if anybody would like to get in and know about that, all they do is contact me at 732-7542, and I can give them the information. And speaking of golf.
Yes, by the by. Well, Bill, I don't know where you get all these things you get. This is a replay of a telephone call. The man says, "Golf course, may I help you?" The caller says, "Yes, my husband called me on his cell phone and told me he's on the 15th hole. How many more holes do you have to play before you get to the 18th?
Hello. Testing 1, 2.
There's a wife who's a brain donor. I think she donated already.
There's a rocket scientist.
Okay, one more, Bill.
There's a rocket scientist.
Golf course, may I help you? Yes, do you have a driving range there? Yeah. how much for a large bucket? $4. Does that include the balls?
Our guest is sitting there shaking his head.
Oh, my.
Oh, my. Well, they're out there.
Oh,
they're out there. Okay.
And they vote.
Is this all one golf
unfortunately,
course?
only 18 or 20%
Yes.
of them vote.
This is all at one golf course?
Yes, but I hasten to add it's not the local golf course.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, right.
Gives me hope.
We have with us this morning
I don't want to scare you off.
another sterling representative of Lincoln College. Kenneth Kendall is new to us this year. Ken is in charge of the Fine Arts Department.
Sir.
And with Ken and Scott Woger and Diane Dietz, we've got 3 Triumph winners there.
And Martin Holden.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
And Marty Holden. Thank
Yes,
you very much
you're
for
welcome.
that. Yes, it made the quadruple. I didn't want to miss Marty, and I'm sorry. Thank you very much for that.
All right.
We've got a great group there. And we're up here to talk about what we're planning to do, what we have done, and the things on the future. Welcome,
Absolutely.
Ken Kendall.
Well, thank you very much, Mr. Gossett. I appreciate that. And
Bill
good
will be
morning,
fine
Judith.
in the studio.
Okay,
Yeah.
I'll call you Bill. It's like talking to my family.
Tell us good about your background and how you came to Lincoln College, Ken.
Got it. Well, I kind of circumlocuted to get here, to be honest. I'm from.
you did.
Yes, I did. They've already heard this story a little this morning. I'm from Western Pennsylvania. Come from a big coal mining family. They kind of frowned upon the fact that I went into theater. I was supposed to end up in the mines,
Well,
like my dad
certainly.
and his dad and my uncles. And my brother became a fireman.
And that's generally the way it goes, isn't
Exactly,
it?
yeah.
Yes.
So I'm kind of the black sheep.
Oh, I'm
but my
sorry.
mom was a clarinetist, so I've got the creative gene. I gotta go. But my father, who's in the coal mining industry, moved us out to western Colorado, Steamboat Springs, when I was in 3rd grade. And it was there in Steamboat Springs in 4th grade, Mrs. Mahaffey, I will always remember her, plucked me out of the hallway one of the first days of school and said, you're new, you sing, you're going to audition for the musical. I'm like, for the what? She's like, get in there. So I get in there and she hands me the song. It's the Happy from the Case of the Runaway Snowman. I'm like, who's Happy? You're the Runaway Snowman.
And
Okay.
that was a famous Broadway show.
Oh, very famous. Ran for years. Laurence Olivier showed up in that. And I got the part, and I was a snowman. And the idea was his name was Happy, but nobody loved him. So he ran away. And a week before the show opened, I had a accident and dislocated my kneecap, tore my ACL, PCL, and patella tendon, and doctors did surgery. I was in a full leg immobilizer for 6 months. But when I woke up, they asked me to have any questions, and I said, could I still be in the play? So I became Happy the Runaway Snowman on crutches in a full leg immobilizer.
Who runs away slowly?
Very, very slowly, with help getting down the steps.
Well,
And
I'll be.
that's, yeah. And that was kind of the beginning of the theater bug, yeah.
That was from the era where, now the teacher's name again?
Mrs. Mahaffey.
Mrs. Mahaffey
Yes.
grabbed your shirt and said, listen here.
Yeah.
And you said, yes, ma'am.
You dang
didn't
right I did.
say, unhand me, or I will sue you, right?
No.
Oh, no. And isn't it lucky that she said that to
Yes,
you?
it is.
And for the rest of us as well.
And I thank her every day for that, because she really got me started.
You never would have thought to sign up for the play.
No, I was going to be a clarinetist like my mom, or I was going to be in the NFL.
That leaves you a little
Who
range
was it,
there.
And in
was
fact, you play musical instruments?
I do. I still play the clarinet. I'm not nearly as good as I once was. And I sing and I plunk a little bit on the piano, but I kind of leave the musical end of things to my wife.
As a quick aside, I want you to take some time to hear a couple of CDs I cut for Edmund Walker, and I'm going to leave them with Scotty this morning.
Lovely.
A clarinet expert who plays big time.
Oh, okay.
And I think you might enjoy those.
I will.
He got a real early start trotting the boards. I thought I'd got an early start when I was in the 6th grade. And I want you to know I appeared as a co-star in The Emperor's New Clothes.
Really? No.
You weren't the naked one, were you?
And I was Tsar. No, that was the Emperor. I was Tsar or Zan, I couldn't begin to tell you. So I started at the 6th grade, and not too long ago I closed out my career on the boards, and as probably the oldest guy on stage in 1776.
Who did you play,
that
Bill?
one.
Yeah, we did that.
Yeah, I love that show.
As you visited with Gene, the
Oh, yeah.
Lincoln Community Theater had quite an illustrious history
Yes,
there
it
for a
did.
long run.
Yeah.
And unfortunately ran out of people to do
Yeah.
it, and volunteers and so forth. It's kind of a sad story. But 1776 was an excellent production, and we had a really strong cast. We had some good singers. I was a lesser luminary, much lesser. Tell us what plans that you have in mind for the ensuing year here, Ken.
Absolutely. Well, some exciting stuff, and it's nice. We actually just formed our first theater advisory board, which actually Gene is a part of. Basically, the idea is we're getting community input on where the theater program should go, help us to decide, where we should focus our energy, help us look at seasonal productions and things like that. And we've actually chosen our season, and you, our listening audience, are the second group of people in the entire world to hear about our season, and we'll get to that in a second.
Hey, I like that.
Yeah, you like that?
Yeah, I
Try to keep, radio
the cutting
specials.
edge,
Absolutely, got to keep it special. But to piggyback on what you were saying about Lincoln Community Theater, Bill, the Theater Advisory Board has let us know that there is still interest in the community for a theatrical outlet. So starting next summer of 2012, we are going to be starting up a new theater program sponsored by Lincoln College, so we don't have to pay rent. But we're going to be starting up a theater company again, open to the community, open to Lincoln students, with hopefully the idea at some point of maybe starting a summer repertory theater here in Lincoln.
Well,
Hi, Kitty. Go ahead, Bill.
Well, that just that renews a lot of enthusiasm on a lot of people.
I
Not
hope.
the least of whom would be Mrs. G.
Well,
Well,
yes.
and me too, by the by.
Yeah.
I don't know how to do anything. I can't
come and learn.
sing or play
No, you
or
can
remember.
sing. It's just on
My
degrees
mother
of good
said I
or bad.
couldn't.
I
Are
had a teacher tell me I couldn't sing once, and I proved him wrong.
Well, I've been around a long time, Ken. I haven't proven her wrong. But I do enjoy it. It would be so nice to think we'd have something like that again. Just
Well, we're going to have
love it. I just
Well, Marty Holden's done
really-
a neat job on campus there with getting these youngsters involved in theater and puts
He
on
does.
some nice production through the course of the academic year.
He does.
And unfortunately, and also understandably, the public attendance isn't all that great at those.
It's not.
But it's getting better.
Yeah.
And we turn out pretty doggone decent product.
I think so.
And
Let me actually extend a formal invitation. If you have not been personally invited, you, the listening audience, haven't been personally invited to come and see a show at Lincoln College, please consider this as your personal invitation. We want to get the community involved in the theater program. Whether this means just coming to watch a play, that's involvement. We can't do live theater without you. If you have a passion for something in the theater, maybe it's helping build a costume. Maybe it's learning how to build a set. Anything that you would like to learn about or want to be involved in, please let me know. We want your help. We
this
want
is
to
a
help
community
you.
involvement, not
Yes.
just the Lincoln College community.
No.
It's a Lincoln community involvement
Yes.
that you are addressing now.
Yes, and this is for every production that we do. We don't want there to be a difference between Lincoln College and the Lincoln community. We are part of the community. We want you to be involved. We really do. And I think that's the biggest change that's happening in the theater program right now.
That's a major change.
I hope so.
That's
and I
a
hope it's a
quantum leap,
positive
really.
change.
Can we have a sneak secret peek at your plans for the
Yes.
coming year so that
Absolutely.
so that we can mark it on our calendar?
Yes, and I actually brought my calendar just for that reason.
Well, I think that's smart.
So
Teacher
this,
comes prepared. That's
Oh,
Yes.
this is what I was looking for this morning, Bill, in such a hurry. So we are doing 4 shows next year, plus we usually do 5, but we're cutting that back. Our kids are just getting spread way too thin. And at the end of the day, it's about the students to help them, so we don't want them to get spread too thin. But our first production is going to be directed by Mr. Steve Schreiber,
Yes.
Lincoln local. Awesome gentleman. And it's going to be called Dark of the Moon. Some of you may have heard of this old chestnut
Name.
before. Wonderful play. This is by Howard Richardson and William Burney. Set in Appalachia in the 1940s. And this is going to be in the Hostick Black Box Theater. We're going to build a 2-story set. This is going to be very exciting. And that, where's my calendar here? That is going to be at the end of September in 2011. So the last weekend in September.
Right into your school year.
Yes. Yeah, this
Yes.
one's going to be about 4 weeks of rehearsal, and we're just going
Boy.
to bang it out right there. We don't mess around.
I guess
Yeah.
not.
Our fall musical is going to be at the end of October. This is going to be called A Year with Frog and Toad, based on the Frog and Toad children's books by
Yes.
Arnold Lobel, I think his name was. Rest his soul.
I don't remember his name. I just remember the stories.
They're lovely.
Yeah.
And it's a delightful show. It's specifically geared towards children, but adults will get a great deal of entertainment out of it. It's sweet but not saccharine, if that makes sense.
That's pretty good sense.
Yeah.
Sweet without saccharine.
Yeah. It's a true family show. And just a delightful message of being, friends are important. And what it means to be a good friend.
I love that. I've got great grandkids I'll bring.
Okay, I like that. So that's going to be at the end of October, 1st of November, which
Great.
brings us to kick off the holiday season. Come see a really nice show with one of the main characters is a snail, and he turns out to be our mail carrier, which is lovely. He has 4 songs called "The Snail with the Mail," and he has to get across town. It takes him 3 seasons to deliver. It's one of the cutest numbers. He likens himself to a cheetah in one, and a husky, and an antelope. And he's just there throughout the entire show, walking very slowly across the stage. Kind of a cute little thing.
That'll be fun.
Yeah.
Oh, that'll be such fun.
Yeah. And then in the spring, so I'll be directing the musical. In the spring, Martin Holden is going to be directing a show called Almost Maine. This is a new show, came out about 2 years ago, and it's just beautiful. It is set in a fictitious town called Almost Maine, which is almost to the border, and it all takes place on one night on basically a park bench, but it's about all the iterations of love. Passionate love, missed love, regretful love, what-if love. So it's all about relationships. Not quite as family-friendly, not that it's grotesque, but kids may not get all of it. But it's going to be beautiful. It's just a gorgeous, gorgeous, simple show.
Well, the thing we're offering here in the Fine Arts Department, it's pretty well agreed that 95% of these kids, or maybe more, are not going to go out into theater for a living or anything like that, the musical. But the thing of it is, what they come away with is a sense of self-confidence and poise. And those may sound like little things, but when you're on the job market and you want to sit down across from somebody, if you've had a little exposure to what you folks are doing in the Fine Arts Department, that kind of sets them up a little bit.
Yeah.
And it gives them a little more self-confidence and certainly the poise and the ability to kind of collect themselves before they go in for these job interviews.
Absolutely.
And so, if nothing else, you've accomplished a great thing right there.
Yeah.
In and of
We
itself.
Amen.
Yeah. And it's also creative problem solving at the end of the day. Breaking out of kind of how you think something should be done and how you think things could be done. Looking at all ways to attack a problem, a situation, and to do it with a little bit of fun, hopefully, because there's a lot of stress in the world. And if you can bring some enjoyment into what you do, no matter what it is, that's a good thing.
Well, Judith and I have worked with some of these youngsters in the past in our volunteering at Washington Monroe School, and we've always had a good representation of Lincoln College help us there, which is a real big asset.
Oh, absolutely.
By the by. But in that capacity, we've gotten to know some of the youngsters who participate in the Fine Arts departments.
Absolutely.
And you got a couple right now that we're working with are great kids.
That's right, yeah.
Just great kids. And
that's nice to know.
What this does, as I say, almost ad nausea, is it's just a huge help to them to learn to go out into the public.
Yeah.
Oh, yes.
We think so, too. Yeah.
It always has boggled my mind when somebody says, "Oh, I can't say anything on a microphone. Oh, I can't speak in public." I never got that because my mother told me that that's not true.
Yeah.
You can.
Her daddy also told her she had moxie.
Yeah, he said it's okay if I wasn't very smart. I had a lot of moxie.
Well, there you go. There you go.
He was just on Earth to build my confidence.
That's lovely. I think parents should be doing that.
I told you his name was Ken, too.
Yes, yes.
As a matter of fact, yes.
Yeah.
I know one thing you're going to do come summer. Your kids are going to be leaving you ere long.
They are.
From the school.
And I would like to point out this is our first graduating class from the 4-year theater program.
Yeah, we want to talk about that.
Yeah.
I think I think probably we ought to think in terms of, if the producer is ready, we probably ought to think in terms of a
commercial break.
Commercial break.
Absolutely.
We want to talk about that theater program.
Yes, and then I want to talk about what you're going to talk about.
Yeah.
Right now, Mr. Break.